everyone, welcome to Bar Downloadable presented by 7-Eleven. As we now know, 50 players in NHL 22 were awarded X Factors. And of course, anytime we have an exclusive club like that, there are always notable names that were omitted. So I sit down with Jesse, Corwin, and DZ to discuss the players we think were left off the list. Let's get to it. I want you guys to tell me who you think were snubbed from the list, who you felt like, I don't know, could have been at least given a little nod. I feel like the list should have been maybe 60, not 50, right, DZ?
I'm going to go out and say this. Okay. We have complained in the past before that players feel very similar in NHL games, and I think that they've gone out and tried to really kind of settle that. I just think that the one principle that I do disagree with was their choice to have it so that someone could only have one. Two of the best players in the league, Nathan McKinnon, Sidney Crosby, they're elite at more than one thing. And it's a bit silly. And it's a tad silly because, like, you know, that could make them even better in the game.
Like you said, Z, in some of these things, they're obviously just kind of giving it to the cream of the crop and like, okay, these players are the ones that you know for this. But you can have players that are kind of bad players that are really good at a specific thing. Because like it's like you're never going to see Michael Grabner on this list, and he's probably a bad example now. And maybe like Antanaseu or whatever. I'm brutal at saying his name, but like he's extremely fast. Not great at a lot else, but I can still see these people having these badges, and the kind of like in FIFA, you can have a guy that's like a silver card in that game, and he still has 5-star skill moves because he's an extremely skilled player. So like it's weird that only the best players in the world are able to have unique attributes.
We have to defend the developer just a little bit. Obviously, people will take any chance they can to absolutely destroy EA in the comments anytime they post anything about anything. You just see constant replies of them asking them to fix this, or this is trash and this is garbage.
That's fair. Actually, can I say one positive then?
Yes.
Because the one thing is like one thing that they're criticized a lot for is that they're like, I can't tell the difference between the good and the bad players. So if this does that, sweet. That is definitely a really good thing.
Exactly. Also, the fact that they would need to narrow it down. They can't just give these skills to players that, yes, are good at maybe just one thing, but then think of how many of these X Factors would have to be doled out across all of these teams. It would just be impossible. And I did like that they kept it to a group. I just wish the group was a little bit bigger to maybe encompass the other teams in the league that didn't get a nod at all. There are 7 teams here that don't have one player with an X Factor. Jesse, I feel like notably Laine was snubbed, and I don't know if you've noticed that right away, but.
First of all, I just can't help but wonder what our X Factors would be. First,
can't skate.
Yeah, when your team goes down 5-0, you somehow get worse. That would probably be mine. You don't back check ever. You lose all ability to back check. That's also for Eric. Eric's a pretty
Jesse's being rude to himself. I'll say Jesse can have a finishing one, you know, because like sometimes you're like I don't know how he does it, but he scores goals.
Thanks. I appreciate it, Corwin. Pretty fast.
Was that a compliment?
It's a little backhanded, but I'll hey, Jesse, he scores. If you give him the puck in a scoring position, he puts it in.
Yeah, I'm not going to give myself any credit in that category, but I will give Patrick Laine credit because it is absolutely insane to me that Austin Matthews gets the shock and awe boost shot after Deke. What, does Laine not get a boost in his shot after Deke? First of all, Laine's got nasty hands, like low-key, very, very sick hands. Guy can dangle in a phone booth. Second of all, his shot is every bit as good as Patrick Laine's. Don't at me!
The other way around.
Oh, crap. Laine's shot is every bit as good as Matthews. I don't care what anyone says.
Patrick Laine has arguably like the best shot in the league. He's a lot like Alexander Semin back in the day, where it's like, yeah, like Ovi, like, the difference between Ovi and Semin is great impression there, Jesse. But no, it's just like Austin Matthews is better at getting his shot off and like getting in a position to score. But like when you see, again, Jesse, the game we were at where Patrick Laine walks in the shootout and just snipes from like the top of the circle with one of the most ridiculous shots I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, baby.
He's got an incredible shot, but yeah, it's obviously it's not gonna. It's kind of what we were talking about. It's not gonna reflect because they probably don't have him rated very well, so he doesn't fit onto this list.
What is Laine gonna be rated? Like, I feel like EA is gonna give him like an 84 after last year, which is like, come on, the guy had like one bad year.
So, but would that not be fair? Because that should reflect the year that just passed, right? So that would be a fair rating.
It's probably a fair rating, but at the same time, he's probably had more than one bad year.
It's for cheap Columbus. So cheap. They couldn't have given
Okay.
Columbus anything, hey? They couldn't have just given Columbus like one decent player.
The one thing I am surprised is just like how exclusive the list is in certain ones. Like defenders, I feel like they could have added like a number more and it wouldn't have been excessive. Like Werenski not being on their period and McAvoy not being on their period. Like he's not in any category. And like that's one of the best defensemen in the league. And he doesn't belong to any of these categories. You can't just toss him into the defensive one. It seems like there definitely are some omissions where it's not just like, ooh, maybe they had a tough year, but it's more they're victims of this list being very limited.
I honestly don't even like I'm not that offended by anybody that left off the list, honestly. hot take here. But like I probably would have had like neither of the Hughes brothers are on there, right?
Yeah, I'm offended by that. I feel like Quinn should be on there for sure. At least like give him a tape to tape.
One of my favorite things about all of these games are like I love potential, right? And like having players that I think can grow into things and like having like these young guys that you really are projecting to be some of the best players in the league. And then so if you're playing like a career mode or something and you want these players to have this, yeah, it's kind of a bummer that some of the younger guys maybe aren't going to be as involved with that. And that's like guys like Cole Caulfield too, right? Who had such a great postseason and he's just like I could personally consider him, Zegras, a bunch of these guys that are going to be kind of rookie of the year candidates. You look at those two guys and you're like, oh my God, you're two of the most skilled players in the league. There's easy ways to drop their ratings as a young player because you're like not sure of certain things, but you should be able to still give them abilities where you're like, wow, they're fun to use.
Like Samuel Girard, again, another one. I love watching the Avs just to watch that man skate. I don't know, like you see some of the names and they're like, well, like he can skate as well. Should he not have a badge? And I agree with you, Corwin. It seems as if they perhaps didn't look into the potential side of things where if their overall rating wasn't quite high enough or if they haven't been around enough, they weren't really considered for this list. And young players, that's what people get excited about, not just the established players.
Kind of insane that Nikolai Ehlers wasn't given anything for skating. He's like got to be behind.
Ehlers didn't get anything for anything, right?
Oh, did he not get it? Oh, okay.
For skating, I mean, Nikolai Ehlers behind Connor McDavid and maybe Cale Makar, he might be the best skater in the league. Behind those guys. I don't even think that's an exaggeration. Like I that is me being honest.
Okay, so we have a list here of how many players. I feel like are we getting up to 60 now? I haven't kept count of all the players that you've listed, but I feel like we could have easily made this 60 instead of 50, right?
I just think that number, it's always just going to feel a little bit arbitrary. I'm not sure why you would limit it.
There's always going to be 51 or 61 or the person that you're like, okay, well, you included that guy, why not this guy? Because like when you hear Ehlers, then immediately I start thinking, okay, we should throw Nylander in there too, right?
I mean, yeah.
Some people start
that'd be amazing.
We all know Ehlers is better.
Well, no, I mean, if you look at the amount of players that some teams have versus others, it also seems a little unfair to those who cheer for the team that has less. Of course, it'll always be that way. I know this, but having Tampa with 5 players, see, I get that they've won. I understand that, but I also feel like it's a little excessive. Like, why do they have 5 and some teams have 0? It's not right.
It's only
they're incredible.
They're the best team in the league. But it's again, it's only excessive because of how they've limited it. And they should still be commended for trying to make players feel different and so that other players feel special. But I think what we're noticing, there's a lack of depth to the list because there's a lack of depth to the system currently. Like it's only highlighting 50 players when in reality, if there was more depth to the system, they could find a new or more nuanced way to complement other players so that you don't run into this issue where you're like, he's not top 50 or, being mad that someone's not on here.
The one other guy that I feel like he feels like such a unique player that it feels like a crime that he's not on the list is Brady Tkachuk. But because like he is just like so unique that he feels like he would have a skill. And also I thought it was weird that Matthew Tkachuk's like he's the only one on the list with the trick shot thing, which like I know he had the through the legs goal and things like that, but like other people have had like what Svechnikov can't get a lacrosse one, like Forsberg can't get that. Like I don't know. It's weird that like he's the only guy that has trick shots. Like Thomas Hertl didn't get one, and he's like a great player that again was probably one of the first guys to really nail like an unreal through the legs goal. Okay, wait, the one other thing I wanted to bring up is anybody rattled about like which ones, like what types of X factors weren't in the game? Like imagine like Brad Marchand had a rat X factor and it was just like he could just draw penalties so easy, like everywhere he went, like it was just drawing penalties. You like get that guy in your lineup, you're racking up power plays.
That would be really funny, especially if like the mouth moved a little more too. You can see it in the video as he got close to people. Yeah, it'd be handy for Thumb League too. You'd be like, oh, just use Brad Marchand for
Hey, and I'll say, Brad, if you're listening, that's a compliment. Okay, I play hockey like a rat. Okay, press Y. So like I'm nowhere near your level, but you know, I like getting under the skin a little bit.
that just makes me want an arcade version of Chell where these guys actually, like, that would be incredible for that to be a power up, and then you can just turn into a little rat.
Well, that'd be sick.
And just make fun,
like,
right?
If anybody even touches you, it's a penalty.
This is fun, boys. That's who we think was snubbed. We of course want to hear from you, so let us know who you think was snubbed in the comments, and we'll see you next time.
Ehlers, for sure, the most. Just saying.